We have had on the website a video of the projected plans for the church renovation, but things have changed so much over the last 6 months that I decided to do another video to update everyone about what it's actually going to look like. And so you'll see some pictures in this video that will give you an exact idea. And remember that we said we're going to emphasize the processional aspect to the church, and so that's going to begin in the parking lot, and this center portion will be opened up and all the doors will be here. That flower bed out there and the statue of Mary, that's all going to be removed. Some of those trees are going to be removed. The plaza area is going to be completely redone, and the central portion of it between those two columns will be of a different color concrete to emphasize this processional path. On the inside of these doors, there'll be a carpeted area with that kind of carpeting that's for, getting rid of snow and drizzle and all that sort of thing. And then you'll walk onto tile the rest of the way. We've gone to considerable lengths in our design work here to deaden this gathering space. So except for that processional path of tile, everything else all the way through the gathering space, all the way down the back hall to the back entrance, that's all going to be carpeted. So that's going to help deaden a lot of the sound. But we're also installing on the ceiling in here some specially designed acoustic panels that will actually look nice, but they're going to look like wood, but they're really a special material that is sound absorbing. And so with all that, we should have a much more visiting kind of space in here so that you can actually hear each other talk. So once we put all the entrance in the center, these two side sections are going to be closed up. They'll be glassed. It'll look just like it does now, except it won't have doors. And this one here will be sort of a conversation area, and some of these benches that are in the gathering space will be gathered around in a conversational kind of formation. The current day chapel is going to be transformed into a cry room. And the reason for this is twofold. One is the people who go to daily Mass, we're used to having daily Mass in here for a number of years, but because of COVID, we moved into the church to be safer, and we kind of got accustomed to that, and people really don't want to return to here for daily Mass, which frees this up for a cry room. Now, the cry room we've had is small and badly configured so that it's just not very usable. And one of the reasons that people don't take their children into there is because it just doesn't work very well. So we're hoping that this new cry room in this space will work better. So we'll take a look at that. Obviously, all of this furniture will be removed. The seating area will be up front here close to the glass, and it'll be angled so that it'll have a good view of the altar. But all the rest of this area will be empty and it'll be carpeted so that, sometimes when children would rather crawl or, not be sitting on your lap, there's plenty of room for that to take place. And there will be, over on this wall, a large monitor so that if someone is watching children back here, they will be able to see what's going on at Mass. And of course, the sound will be carried in here just like it always has been. We said that other bay area over there will be a conversation area. This will be the information area. So the long oak table that is over on the far end of the gathering space will be moved over here. And so this is where all the information will be picked up. This cabinetry will be altered somewhat so that there will be things that people can pick off of the shelves. Also, the bottom part will be open so that those large bins and containers for various collections can be stored away out of sight when they're not being specifically used. There will be a couple of chairs on this side of the table so that if someone is helping someone to sign up for something, this will be the place where all that will take place. The information pillar, where people pick up bulletins and parish directories, the newsletter, etc., that will be moved around to the other side so that it's just as accessible as people leave as it is now. We are moving the confessional into the old cry room, which should function very well, leaving the current confessional available. And one of the requests that we've had over the last few years is for nursing room space. And so there will be a door installed from the gathering space here, and it'll be closed up on the other side so that a mother who's nursing can go in there and have privacy. And there will be a monitor in there so that she can still participate in Mass even while she's nursing her child. The three entrances to the worship space are going to remain as they are, with the exception of the center, which is going to be raised up to the ceiling height so that it emphasizes that center entrance more. And in the center doors, where you have glass panels across here, it will have glass panels all the way, so that even when the doors are closed, when you come in the main entrance, you can see all the way to the altar. The new font will be in the same place this one is. It'll be approximately the same size, but it'll be an immersion font with two upper portions that people can sign themselves in, and a lower portion with about a foot of water in it, so that an initiate an adult can step down in and have water poured over them, which is what the Catholic Church means by immersion, standing in water but having water poured over you. And so then they would go out the other side, and there will be gates that will protect it from small children, so it'll be safe, but those will be opened up only when someone is being baptized. So what is currently the confessional will become the entrance to the new reconciliation chapel. So this will be closed off, and the door will swing the other way, and you walk right into the new confessional. And this will all remain the same, except that it'll be insulated glass for soundproofing. And the church is encouraging us to make confessionals more visible, not audible, but visible to the outside, so that a person might feel more comfortable in there alone with the priest, and it protects the priest from false accusations about what he did in the confessional. So that is already set up except for the insulated glass. The Mary Chapel will remain where it is, but it'll be remodeled to fit the style of the rest of the church. And we don't know exactly how that's going to be configured, but it'll be in the same place that it is now. One of the things that's been a concern for a number of years is the music area. And so we worked with the musicians and to try to figure out the best reconfiguration of this space. And the way it's going to end up is something like this. These pews have been pared back over the years so that there was more space for bell choir, etc. in front. And what we're going to do now is we're going to bring this all the way up so that it matches the other side of the church. So the front pew will be about here, and we'll take the last two pews out, and the bell choir will be back behind there. So the choir will sit in these pews, so that makes them part of the assembly, which they're supposed to be. That leaves this whole area over here where these risers are. They'll all go away, and the organ console and the piano will go back in here. So since this wall is going away, that's going to give good sight lines from the organ console or the piano to the altar. Actually, in some ways better than it is now. That leaves this area where the organ console currently is, extra space for violins and horns and whatever extra instrumentation that we have for special occasions and youth choir, etc. We'll have a new altar and a new ambo, both made out of limestone, and they'll be in the same basic place that they are now. One thing that's different is there's going to be a handicapped ramp that will go up this way. We've had one for the last 30-some years, but it's been unusable because it was in a place where the cantors always were, etc. But now it's going to go up behind that column and then come back this way, making it much more usable than it's ever been before. On this side of the sanctuary, these steps will be squared off and come back this way. All of this raised area here will be removed, and since the tabernacle is moving to the center, this space is all going to be available. That wall is going to move back a bit, and so we're going to have a small section of pews like here over in this area. So we're actually going to gain some seating in this renovation. And right in this wall here, a doorway is going to be cut. That'll be the entrance into the new sacristy behind the sanctuary. And that's going to be a huge benefit to all liturgical ministers, particularly liturgical coordinators and servers, because the vessels and the linens and everything like that for setting up the altar for Mass and taking down will all be right behind this wall. So it won't have to be hauled all the way through the church and through the gathering space. It'll just be much more accessible. So I'm really looking forward to that new sacristy back there. This is currently the Holy Family Chapel, but it's going to become the Thomas More Chapel. We have in the gathering space a nice wooden statue of Thomas More. That's going to be moved to here. The Holy Family statue is going to be put away for a while, but eventually it's going to end up outside in our new prayer garden. It's made of bronze, and it should get a nice patina on it out in the weather. It's really designed to be an outside statue, and I think it's going to look great out there. In the meantime, Thomas More will go here. Votive lights will be reconfigured a bit, but basically this is going to become the Thomas More Chapel, and it'll be done in a style consistent with the rest of the room, just like the Mary Chapel, so that it all kind of fits together. These renovations take on a life of their own, and the more people you get involved, the more ideas come out, and of course we work with the diocese with their special committee for projects like this, and we took advice from them. And so in the long run, while we weren't originally intending to change the pews, we're actually going to get new pews. And the reason for that is twofold. One is these pews are 33 years old, and they weren't the best quality to begin with, and they've got about 10 years left in them. And so if we change 10 years from now, we're putting more holes in the floor. And so the diocese suggested just bite the bullet and get new pews now, and the committee decided that that was probably the best plan. So the new pews will not have padding, but they will be plenty comfortable. We're going with the best quality pews that are made, and even without padding, they are very comfortable. And it's the same company that did Seven Dolours and that did St. Isidore. So if you want to check out what those feel like, go to those churches and sit and see what you think. The flooring in here will change, and it'll become tile throughout. Originally, we were going to keep carpeting under the pews, but as the diocese suggested, if every 15 to 18 years you have to redo the carpeting, then you have to pull the pews up and drill new holes, and so it was just decided it's better to just do this once and for all. This kind of tile is going to last 80 to 100 years, and so we should just have to do this once. The center aisle will be of a specific design that emphasizes this processional path. All the rest of the floor will be the same. And the sanctuary, the altar area, will be a contrasting tile that ties in with what's happening here in the center aisle. As we mentioned in the earlier video, a lot of the change is going to take place up front. And we're going to remove the sheetrock wall there above the altar, and so we're going to expose that round window that is already there. And of course at this point it's plain glass, but we're going to have a stained glass window there, and that is already designed, and it's being constructed now. It should be ready for when we're ready to put it in. And all of that stone paving there on the back wall, that's all going away, and so that's going to give us about an extra 3 to 3.5 feet of sanctuary depth, which we desperately need. And there's an altarpiece. One of the things that has been a concern all through the years is that there's this kind of bland wall and you don't really know where to focus your eye. And so the Environment Committee has done wonderful work over the years of focusing the eye in the center behind the altar. But usually it's something of a kind of a secular or natural nature, but not specifically religious. And so our plan is to put a large altarpiece that will go up and surround the window, and it will have 8 or 9 panels with different paintings in it. And so the center largest portion is going to be a triptych, and it'll be the whole Paschal mystery. One panel will be the birth of Christ, the center panel will be the crucifixion, and the right panel will be the resurrection. And vertically on the left of those center sections is going to be the 4 covenants of the old covenants. So there's Adam and Eve, Abraham, Noah, and Moses. So those are the old covenants, and then the Paschal mystery in the center is the new covenant in Christ. And then the right panel is going to be blank. That's where our processional cross is going to be during Mass. So it gets processed in and hung in that panel. And then above the triptych of the Paschal mystery will be the 4 evangelists. Across the bottom will be 4 symbols of Eucharist. The washing of the feet, the breaking of the bread, the vine and the branches, and the pelican. The pelican is an ancient symbol for Eucharist, based on a legend that the mother pelican comes back to the nest and finds the young dead, and so she pecks her own breast, and as it bleeds on them, they are nourished by her blood, and she dies. So it's a symbol of Christ's, the blood and water flowing from his side as he hangs upon the cross. He dies so that we can resurrect to new life. It's a nice symbol of Eucharist. And once you know that, you see that on altars and around altar platforms worldwide. It's just kind of a universal symbol that we're not all that used to here in Kansas, but it's actually very prevalent. One feature of this new altarpiece is that the tabernacle will be incorporated into it, and it'll be in the center right behind the altar. And there are 4 Eucharistic symbols across the bottom, and the tabernacle is going to be in the center of that, and it will have wooden doors on it. And so most of the time those doors will be opened so that the tabernacle will be visible, but during Mass they'll be closed, because the documents on liturgical environment suggest that during Mass we're not supposed to pay attention to the tabernacle but to the altar. And so it's suggested a curtain, for example, but I think these solid doors opening and closing will be a little bit more noble than drawing a curtain. Other suggestions are lighting changes. That's a little bit difficult to do in our space. So I think these doors are going to solve that problem. So basically what will happen is that a few minutes before Mass starts, servers or the liturgical coordinator will go and close the doors. Then we'll have Mass, and then after Mass, one of the first things that will happen is that they'll be reopened again. So the rest of the week, they'll be open so people coming in and praying will be able to see the tabernacle. And of course, there will be a sanctuary lamp installed there as a reminder of the presence of Christ in the tabernacle. One of the most difficult decisions to make is color. And so the architectural firm that we have used, BG Consultants, has subdivided an interior design firm from Wichita to help us make those decisions. So one of the key things is that the trusses here are some of the most attractive part of this building. And one possibility was to paint them white just like the ceiling so they kind of go away. But committee members and other parishioners have said, but we like those and we want to draw attention to them. So they're going to become a kind of a dark blue and the ceiling will be white. And then that sort of determines the color palette for the rest of the room. We're going to do something that's kind of traditional in churches, and that is to put a kind of a wainscot up about 5 feet and then a line of stencil pattern and then a lighter color up the rest of the way. So that'll kind of break up the verticality here and provide a little bit of warmth down low. And it'll also provide a space for a stencil pattern which will make the place look a little bit more ecclesial. Because we're tiling the floor and taking away the upholstered seating, the room is going to be considerably more live. And so we've talked with sound people, engineers, and we're going to do some things to temper that. And one of the things is we're putting in a new sound system that will be aimed more directly at where people are sitting rather than being bounced off the walls and the floor. Second thing we're doing is up high, under those stained glass windows, there's quite a bit of space there where we're going to install acoustical panels, and that'll help calm the space down a bit. One of the features of our new sound system is going to be visual capability as well. So there will be a camera permanently installed back in the back of the church, and so we can live stream funerals and weddings. That seems to be something that is a feature that people want. So for example, family members who can't get from a distance can view it on their computers or on their TV screens. So that'll all be permanently installed and easy to operate so that we can have that capability. And God forbid, if we ever have another pandemic, we're set up to have Mass in an audiovisual way.